Welcome to the BEASTwriter family, where social media engagement is encouraged. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we are going to be continuing my NFC West grades as we break down all 32 NFL teams. I already broke down the NFC South. Now we're diving into the NFC West, and this time it's discussing your San Francisco 49ers. Now, before we go ahead and get started, I just want to say thank you and mahalo to each and every one of you for subscribing to my channel and joining the BEASTwriter family. Honored to have you here. Just be sure to turn on and flip on the bell notification so you get notified when I go live or when I upload content. All right, so we're going to dive right into it, guys. We're not going to waste anyone's time because you guys have been asking me, Beast, what is going on with the San Francisco 49ers? What are your thoughts on the post-draft analysis? I hear it from Kuiper. I hear it from McShay. I want to hear it from you. So I'm going to give it to you 100 as I keep things 100 all day, every day here in the BEASTwriter family. All right, so let's go ahead and break it down. The first pick, no surprise here in the BEASTwriter family, when the national media said it was Mac Jones. I was like, nah, not here in the BEASTwriter family. That's why I get inside information. That's why you guys follow me. And that is why my spot on predictions hold up and why you guys are here in the BEASTwriter family. Not trying to toot my own horn, but the proof is in the pudding. And even when Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, they're always saying it's Mac Jones. And I went on the live stream at the same time they did. Once I saw this on TV, I was like, you know what? No, the Niner fans need to know the truth. And it's not Mac Jones. It's going to be a dual threat quarterback, either Justin Fields or Trey Lance. As it was trending closer to the draft, I was hearing Trey Lance. You can see my earlier live streams. You guys know what I was saying in the BEASTwriter family. And I said it was Trey Lance all the way. And it was. He ultimately lands to the 49ers as the third quarterback off the board once Zach Wilson went to the New York Jets. So again, what do I like about Trey Lance's intangibles, right? And this is what, how do I say this? This is kind of how the trade kind of went down, right? So the team, as in the San Francisco 49ers, yielded 3 first-round draft picks with the Miami Dolphins to move up just 9 spots for the quarterback of their choice. Now, it came down to Trey Lance and Justin Fields. People said Mac Jones. Only reason why Mac Jones was in discussion, from what I'm hearing, is because they were sitting there at 12 and considering Mac Jones at 12. All right, that's why they moved up to number 3, because they wanted Trey Lance. They ultimately made this decision early on in the draft process and said, you know what? Mac Jones is good if he slips outside the top 10 and we can grab him at 12, which actually happened in hindsight. Well, they were looking at it like, you know what? But we really love Trey Lance's intangibles. Let's just go up and get the guy that we like for the foreseeable future and marry ourselves, as in John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, to the quarterback of their future. All right. So that's exactly what they did there. Lance was their guy. He's raw, but a talented quarterback. Again, he could end up being the best quarterback in this cream of the crop quarterback draft class when it's all said and done, because his ceiling is really high. And although he needs work on all 3 levels in terms of accuracy, he can also throw off platform at the same time. So exactly what are you getting with a guy like Trey Lance? You're getting a guy who is raw, right? He only started 17-something games in his college season. And then also he comes not from the FBS, but from the FCS. All right. So again, the level of competition wasn't on par with what you would typically face like Mac Jones would in the SEC Power 5 conference. However, Trey Lance's intangibles and critical factors outweigh Mac Jones's production in the SEC. And I feel like this was a smart play by the San Francisco 49ers. If there's anyone who's defending Mac Jones, it should be me. I'm a huge Roll Tide fan, but also keep him 100. Just like all you Niner fans, you guys know I was a diehard Niner fan before covering the NFL as a beat writer for the team and now covering all 32 NFL teams here in the BEASTwriter family. I always keep it 100 one way or the other. I always did it, and I'm never going to waver from that line of thinking. All right? So again, what do I like about Trey Lance? Again, he has a higher ceiling than Mac Jones, highest ceiling of any quarterback in this draft class. He has the NFL arm to make all the throws and throwing off platform. That's something that you really need to do in today's NFL. Again, he needs help in the accuracy department because he's not very accurate in all three levels like a Mac Jones. But with that being said, he's a dual threat quarterback, and something that I talked about in earlier live streams. And what he does extremely well is he opens up Kyle Shanahan's playbook. With Jimmy Garoppolo there, you're dissecting the playbook because he can't run the naked bootleg. Something that Mike Shanahan ran with Steve Young when I was growing up back in 1994, sitting there front row, season tickets on section box lower 14, row A, seats 1 and 2. Down inside the red zone, I was right on the 20-yard line. I would always see Mike Shanahan run the naked bootleg with Steve Young and running a quick slant to either John Taylor going across on the quick slant, 5 to 7 yard quick slant, or Brent Jones running down the seams, or Jerry Rice over the top. So again, there's a lot of different things you can do with a guy like Trey Lance that you could do with Steve Young. So you see similarities in their game, and that's why I believe Trey Lance was ultimately the pick overall and their selection overall as their top choice for who that quarterback would be once Zach Wilson went off the board. I still believe Zach Wilson was their 1A. Trey Lance was their 1B. Again, I love this pick. Trey Lance has a high ceiling. And again, if you're going to swing for the fences, giving up 3 first-round picks in return, especially all that draft capital aside from the first-round picks, you land a quarterback of the future that you think that you can win the Super Bowl with. And I like it with Trey Lance. I like it. So I'm going to give the 49ers a grade of an A. An A grade, moving up, swinging for the fences, and then going the full 9 yards and really hitting it out of the ballpark with this selection. I like Trey Lance. All right. Now let's go ahead and move on to this pick. This is where it gets kind of a head scratcher for me. The Niners went ahead and decided to draft Notre Dame offensive lineman, interior guard, Aaron Brooks. He was drafted in the second round, number 48. What happened was they held favorable draft position sitting there at number 43. I thought the play should have been drafting Asante Samuel Jr., all right, a nickelback who would definitely provide instant relief in case K'Wan Williams went down to injury, and he's on a 1-year contract. So Asante Samuel Jr. getting the best nickelback in this draft class at 43 would have been a nice value. However, they traded back with the Las Vegas Raiders and gained a 4th-round pick drafted number 121 overall. All right, so all they gained moving back 5 spots was a 4th-round pick, and that was a bad move because at the end of the day, when you hit the 4th round in this draft class, it's not very deep. And I've been saying it on my earlier live streams that this class is not deep, it's not very strong, and we see why. So again, Las Vegas Raiders decide to move up. The Niners decide to move back. And the Raiders, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, got Trayvon Myrick. And the Niners, sitting here at 48, got Aaron Brooks, another Notre Dame offensive lineman who may or may not pan out. Now, why do I say that? Well, simply because if you look at it from a scheme and schematic standpoint, Aaron Brooks is more tailored for a power-based run scheme, not a zone blocking scheme. So if you were to ask me if Aaron Brooks is going to shine on the San Francisco 49ers, I would be quick to argue that. And Mel Kiper even said it in his post-draft analysis. He's like, hey, Aaron Brooks was a reach. He might not even have started his rookie year. So why did they draft a guy like Aaron Brooks with other higher rated players on the board? And I have to agree with Mel Kiper. Now, you may not agree with everything Mel Kiper says, but in this particular scenario, his analysis holds true. And I would have to agree with him 110%. And he's not a scheme fit. He's not tailored for the zone blocking scheme. He's not good in space or hitting that second level like some of these other interior guards that they have. And when people say, oh, he's the next Laken Tomlinson, no, he's not. He's not. So again, this was a head scratcher at best as he's not a scheme fit. So if I was to put a grade on it because they moved down 5 spots, missing out on a guy like Asante Samuel Jr., you're doing yourself a disservice and the Niners shot themselves in the foot. I'm going to have to give them a letter grade of a D for this selection in the 2nd round. All right, now let's go ahead and move on. We have Trent Williams in the 3rd round. If you remember, they struck a deal trading for Trent Williams last year and ultimately panned out for them. Again, he signed that big money contract, the highest paid left tackle or offensive lineman, I should say, in NFL history. I went on that earlier live stream at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever the case may be, and did a 4-hour podcast. Can't believe I did that looking back. But hey, it turns out that that move was the right move to make. Again, they yielded a 3rd round pick, number 74 overall. That's why they didn't have this 3rd round pick. And ultimately, it was well worth it because, again, What Washington did with this selection is they drafted Benjamin St-Juste, a cornerback. And although people were saying, oh, St-Juste is good, yada, 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 not as good as what Trent Williams brings to the table. So give me an all-pro left tackle, and I'll let you have that third-round pick and change in return. All right. So again, Silverback is well above Benjamin St-Juste at cornerback. So give me Silverback all day long. And again, if I was to do a grade on this, because again, you have to take this into account, the 49ers get an A grade for this selection. All right, now let's go ahead and move on. They didn't have any third-round selections because they just gave one to Trent Williams. However, they made the smart play of trading multiple fourth-round picks in return and moving up for a guy like Trey Sermon at number 88. All right. So what they did to move up to number 88 is they had to give up number 117 and number 121 in the fourth round to move up X amount of spots. And again, I would have thought that Michael Carter would have been a better fit for the system in that zone blocking scheme. I guess Kyle Shanahan and company felt otherwise because they love the Ohio State program and they felt that the relationship with Ryan Day was good enough and strong enough and had a conviction about a player who only played there for one season being a transfer, and that was Trey Sermon. Now, Trey Sermon is not going to blind you with his blazing speed, but what he does bring to the table is the critical factors that you look for in a zone blocking system. So, again, I really like this pick, and some people were saying, oh, why'd you draft Trey Sermon? I really like this pick, and I told you guys they were targeting Najee Harris at number 12. And Najee Harris's pre-draft analysis said, I thought it was going to be drafted by the Niners when they were going at 12, but before they opted to move up. So again, I knew they were going to run back. And when people were saying on the live stream, they don't need a run back, that's not Shanahan's method of operation. That's not their MO because any undrafted rookie can get it done. That's not what I was hearing. That's why I put this stuff up here. And that's why, in hindsight, it all checks out. Trey Sermon was drafted, and he was a high priority on their big board. Right? They needed a running back. And so once Javonte Williams was off the board, obviously Trey Sermon was their next best option at sitting there at number 88. And again, I think Sermon is a nice pick who will likely be a 1,000-yard back in Shanahan's system. Now, am I talking about 1,000-yard rushing back? No, I'm talking about 1,000 yards from scrimmage back. So that's receiving and rushing because, again, the Niners like to rotate their running backs. Trey Sermon, you don't have to get him and throw him to the Lions' den right away. You can kind of let him learn the system under Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, kind of get his feet wet and acclimated to the NFL level type of a game. So again, Trey Sermon was a nice pickup. I think 49er fans are going to be happy with the selection of Trey Sermon. So if I have to put a grade on it, I would give them a solid A. Now let's go ahead and move on. We have Ambry Thomas drafting in the third round, number 102. Just make sure it's up there. The ticker, you see it? Okay, it's good. All right, so Ambry Thomas was drafted in the third round, number 102. And again, the reason why they selected Ambry Thomas was because 4 quarterbacks go off the board in consecutive picks in this round. They felt the need that they had to have a cornerback because they missed out on Asante Samuel dropping from 43 all the way down to 48 to pick up a guy like Aaron Brooks, missing out on Asante Samuel Jr. Now you see them reaching for need here. Obviously, they went ahead and took the 7th cornerback taken in this third round. And when you do that, you're kind of diminishing the value of the pick because at the end of the day, the cornerbacks are going to come off the board in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds. And they went ahead and made a play for this quarterback as, again, 4 quarterbacks go off the board in consecutive picks in this 3rd round. And Ambry Thomas out of Michigan was one of those selections, okay? So again, what are you getting with Ambry Thomas? Well, you're going to get a special teams ace, right? He's not going to start right away because he's not going to take over for Emmanuel Mosley. He's not going to take over Jason Verrett. Definitely not going to take over the nickelback position from K'Wan Williams, where you have to be more cerebrally smart and know where your spacing is. So with that being said, Ambry Thomas is a nice player with a nice upside for starter potential, but he's not there yet. He's very raw. And at the end of the day, sitting here at 102, I would have liked them to go ahead and take Michael Carter. If they would have stayed pat at 43 and took Asante Samuel at 43, again, you could have got Michael Carter here at number 102. Instead, you opted to trade 2 4th-round picks, moving up to number 88 for a guy like Trey Sermon. So again, you can kind of see how I'm connecting the dots here. What they could have done is they could have took Trey Lance with the 3rd overall pick. In the 2nd round, stay at 43. Don't trade down. Take Asante Samuel so then you don't have to take Ambry Thomas here in the 3rd round, right? In the third round, you don't have a third round pick, obviously, because that was the Trent Williams deal. But then here, sitting here in the fourth round, you could have drafted Michael Carter, right? So Michael Carter would have went off the board here. I like Michael Carter on this selection. Ultimately ended up being Ambry Thomas, so it's fine. I get it. So if I have to put a grade on this, I think the Niners reached a little bit. I'm going to have to give them a solid D for this letter grade in the third round. All right. Now let's go ahead and move on. There's not much to talk about as far as the rest of the draft picks are concerned. They did use the shotgun approach, something I talked about and alluded to in earlier live streams in my pre-draft analysis and in real time as I was covering the NFL draft. Teams that I was hearing would like to use the shotgun approach where you select multiple players at the same position to create camp competition because this draft class isn't very strong, and they did that. So the 49ers went on and got Jalen Moore in the fifth round, number 155. They also got cornerback D. Leonore in the fifth round, number 172. Also got, I like to say this name, Talanoa Hufanga from USC in the fifth round, number 180, a safety. And they also finished it up with another running back with Elijah Mitchell in the sixth round, number 194, a 4.3 speed type of a guy. All right. So that pretty much mocks up this draft grade. If I had to put a solid grade on the selections that were made, I'm going to have to give them a solid B because, again, I like the choice of Trey Lance. Thought they hit out of the ballpark in round one. Round two was with Aaron Brooks. But then they doubled back again and came back strong with Trey Sermon. I like that selection. And obviously the trade for Trent Williams is going to elevate that draft stock and the draft grade there. So again, they won the third round. And with these other later picks, you can't really say yay or nay on them because, again, this draft class isn't very strong. And that goes for all 32 NFL teams. So a final grade. Well, for the San Francisco 49ers, I would have to give them a solid B. All right. Well, that'll be it for this podcast. If you like my analysis and insights, be sure to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen as you stay up to date on all things Beast in real time. So what are your thoughts, Niner fans? What are your thoughts, BEASTwriter family? Love engaging with you on this platform. Please leave your comments. And again, welcome to the BEASTwriter family. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care. BEASTwriter out.